The Master King explained his plan. We all stood there, surprised. Nobody had any complaints. And it was not only because the plan came from the Master King himself, but it was because the plan was simply brilliant. The whole thing relied on me delivering the final blow to Ozara using the crow cutter. But the way the bear presented the plan to us, it had to work. And work it did. 1 week later, Ozara appeared. I remember it like it was yesterday. 24 seasons ago. The weather became more dark, more sinister. It was windy and cloudy. We could feel that it was going to be raining soon. We just hoped it would be after we defeat Ozara, because fighting during a rain would be a great disadvantage to us. We heard the beast before we could see it. The Grand Menace let out a loud caw that the entire kingdom heard. Everybody knew that the time has come, the time that will decide the fate of the kingdom. Citizens from all around Castana gathered below in the city of Battlefield. They gathered above in the Montesian tribe. Those were the two places from which they could always observe the ultimate battle. And as they gathered, we prepared. Well, we were already prepared physically. We knew the plan, and we were ready to execute it. But while we were prepared physically, as I said, we were still preparing mentally. None of us at the time truly took in the grasp of how big this day was. Not only for us, but for the entire population of this holy tree. We could now see the beast approaching, its black wings blacker than the darkest of nights, its eyes red, redder than the reddest of ladybugs, its beak sharp, sharper than any and all weapons, well, except the crow cutter, of course. Its wings were huge, once spread out, they were even larger than the largest titan beetle. The way wind blew around them every time they flapped, it made me feel fear, but also made me determined to do this, to save everyone, to be a hero. "Everybody, get onto positions," Motheas exclaimed. It was decided that he would be leading us. This was because he was both smaller and more agile than Caesar, as well as because he was the only knight other than Caesar who could fly. Thus, he would be able to quickly get anywhere where he was needed, and he would also be able to observe the situation from all positions and angles. Ozara was getting closer and closer to the tree, but we were ready. Motheas flew upwards, drawing Ozara's attention with his shiny wings. Lucana and Diablo got onto Caesar's back, and they awaited further orders. And I started climbing the tree. Earlier that day, I put the crow cutter near the very top of the tree. My objective was to climb and get it while the rest distract Ozara and keep him away from the citizens. Then I had to wait for the perfect time to jump down, aiming at Ozara, and if the stars aligned, Ozara would be killed with a single slash. The momentum I would have gained by falling down would be more than enough to cut Ozara in half, but I only had one shot. While I was climbing up the tree, I heard the noises below me. It was the others. They were fighting the beast. The battle has begun. And I knew I shouldn't lose my focus. I knew that I should have kept my head up, ignoring everything else, and awaited my turn, but I couldn't. I had to pause every now and then to look down, to make sure that the others were doing well. I saw Ozara chasing Motheas. The beast fluttered his wings inwards, making a gust of wind that hit Motheas directly. The wind was so strong, it blew him towards the tree, where he hit his back. Ozara sped up. He aimed his beak at Motheas, who was entrapped on the tree. And just as he was about to stab through the moth, a battle cry could be heard. No! It was Lucana. Caesar flew right below Ozara, and as he did so, Lucana scratched the Grand Menace with her blade. This made the beast let out another caw as its blood started dripping from the wound Lucana made. The wound wasn't big or deep, but it was enough to make Ozara's attack miss Motheas, who recovered from hitting his back earlier. Seeing this made me feel relief. I continued climbing. I heard Motheas giving the others orders and thanking them for saving him. I heard the beast caw a few more times in anger and frustration. I almost made it to the top when, "Dan, look out!" I heard Motheas yell. I turned around just in time to see Ozara facing me. The crimson eyes stared directly at my soul. I froze. I knew that he was preparing to peck me, tear me apart with his beak. I knew that I have failed. And just as his peck was about to step through me, it stabbed someone else. Diablo. He fell from above, catching onto Ozara's beak. His weight shifted Ozara's head, but Ozara's attack still had momentum, so Diablo, who was holding onto its beak, got stabbed by it multiple times as the beast kept on pecking the ironclad beetle. Diablo, no! I was shaking. I wanted to cry. My friend was going to be killed because of me, because he was told to save me by all means necessary. I knew I had to move quickly. I knew it, but I couldn't. I could not move. All I could do was stare at Diablo, who was holding onto the beast. Diablo, who was still taking all of the hits, while the rest of us could do next to nothing about it. "Snap out of it, Dan!" Motheas yelled at me. I looked at him. How can you be so calm?" I asked him. "Diablo will be fine, Dan. But the rest of us won't if you don't fucking move already. Climb!" he screamed. I looked down at Diablo, then I finally see it. I remember it. He was an ironclad beetle, the most endurable bug in the kingdom. There are tales of ironclad warriors surviving attacks from weapons made of Ozara's feather, without a single scratch. And if Diablo could survive Ozara's feather weapons without a scratch, he could just as easily survive attacks from Ozara's sharp beak. And that is exactly what I saw. Diablo kept on getting stabbed, but not a single time was he stabbed through. That was why, unlike earlier with Motheas, Caesar and Lucana didn't try to help Diablo. They didn't need to. They knew he would endure it, and kept on enduring it for as long as he needed to. Motheas was right. He will be fine, but I had to move if I wanted to be sure that the others would be fine too. And so I did. I reached the blade. I grabbed it. I lifted it. I look down at Ozara. I look at Motheas. He nods. I grip the blade as tightly as I could and I jump. As I'm falling down, I see Diablo finally letting go of Ozara. Caesar and Lucana catch him in the air. Good. Now it's just me against the beast. The beast looks up. I swing the blade. The beast cries out as the crow cutter slices through its right wing. Ozara has been cut in half. But the sheer force of the crow cutter meeting Ozara's wing made me let go of the sword. The force was so strong it did something I thought was impossible. It made me let go of my grip. I fall to the ground on my back, losing my breath, and as soon as I open my eyes, I feel immeasurable pain in my top right leg. Or should I say, where my top right leg used to be. As I look to my right, I see the crow cutter. It fell right onto my top right leg, cutting it off. The pain was immense, but the joy I felt was bigger than it. Ozara's dead body falls next to me. The battle was over. We did it. I did it. I killed Ozara. I killed the Grand Menace. I woke up a few days later. At first I was disoriented, but after a while I got used to the warm room I was in. I tried to rub my eyes with my top legs, but I noticed that I can't move my right one. Then I remember, I don't have a top right leg anymore. The shock catches up to me, along with the recalling of everything that happened. Ozara is dead. I killed him. Someone hears my movements and enters the room. It was Motheas. His eyes widen as he sees me. "Everybody, he's awake!" He yells loudly and rushes out of the room. A few minutes later, all of the other knights, along with Master King Dabir, come to my room. "Oh, thanks, Lord!" Lucana hugs me as tears fall down from her eyes. "Then!" As Lucana lets go of me, Caesar hugs me next. His eyes, too, were teary when he said, "You scared the crap out of me, you bastard! Don't you ever do that again." Sorry. I felt immense joy seeing everyone here. "You did well done. Sorry for your leg," Motheas said. "You are Castanea's hero, then," Diablo told me. "Thank you, everybody. But the real hero here is Diablo. If he hadn't taken so many of Ozara's hits, well, I don't think any of us would have survived back there." "Perhaps," Motheas nodded. "But I also have to express my gratitude towards Caesar and Lucana. You saved me back there. Guys, thank you. The truth is, I fumbled. I wasn't a good leader. I made mistakes. It's a miracle we all survived. Like Dan said, it was mostly due to Diablo. I want to apologize to everyone." He felt guilty. You were too hard on yourself, dear." Lucana clung onto Motheas. "All of us could have done better, but we're all alive and well, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters." She added, and then she kissed him. She kissed Motheas. Seeing her do that made me feel hurt, made me feel guilt, feel shame. I was ashamed of myself. I should be happy for her. I should be happy for both of them. Yet I feel envy, jealousy, sadness. Before I had any time to process my emotions, the Master King spoke in his powerful, eternal voice. "Well now, the sharp Lucana is right. You are too hard on yourself, shiny Motheas. The following facts are true. The Grand Menace is dead. The Castanean Kingdom has been saved thanks to all of you, my great knights. And the most important fact, one that the beautiful young princess here already exclaimed, is that all 5 of you are alive and well." Dabir then looked at each one of us individually, praising us for our contributions to the grand victory. "This was your very first battle against Ozara, yet you did something almost no previous leader has done. You managed to obtain victory with no casualties, civilian or otherwise. That's why you are a great leader, shiny Motheas, even if you yourself do not believe to be true." He told Motheas, who modestly bowed before the Master King. "And you, without your incredible flying skills, who knows what amount of damage Ozara could have made. Thank you for your service, cunning Caesar," he told Caesar, who proudly smiled. "Princess, the way your sharp blade saved your leader was astonishing. Send regards to your father when you see him, sharp Lucana," he told Lucana, who silently nodded. "And of course, the invincible Diablo. I think that nickname suits you better. I don't know of a single bug in history of Castanea that is capable of surviving so many of Ozara's deadly attacks, and without a scratch nonetheless. You have been excellent, heavy Diablo," he told Diablo, who was too shy to know how to respond. "And finally, the one who slayed the beast." The Master King finally turned towards me, I was still lying in bed when he said, "Mighty Dan, I am truly sorry for your losses. Of both your father, who, like you, served the kingdom until his very last breath, who, just like you, has once slain the Grand Menace, but also for the loss of your leg. Know that it was a necessary sacrifice that has saved thousands, tens of thousands. I thank you on behalf of all citizens of Castana, mighty Dan." The Master King bowed before me, and I was too shocked to know what to say. The overwhelming emotions at that moment, everything from the pride and joy I felt from slaying Gozara to the pain and envy I felt from seeing Lucana fall in love with someone else, it was all too much. I started crying, and I cried and I cried, and I couldn't stop. No matter how hard I tried, the tears just wouldn't stop. I feel everyone around me. They sat beside me, comforting me. "Thank you," I managed to mumble through my tears. We stayed there like that for the next few minutes. It was warm. It was nice. 3 days later, when I completely recovered, we were told to attend the medal ceremony. It was a short ceremony held in the middle of the battlefield city. A lot of citizens gathered to see their heroes, to see us. Master King held a speech about how grateful he is on behalf of the entire kingdom to the knights, and how without them, without us, the kingdom would have fallen ages ago. He then proceeded to give each one of us a medal of honor. After each of us received their medal, the citizens once again shouted the empowering words, "Long live the great knights!" It once again made me smile, made me feel important, made me feel proud, made me feel like a true hero. Because there were no casualties this time around, and because 2 showdowns were held last time, it had been decided that this time, for the first time in Castana's history, the ultimate showdown would not be held. The public was surprisingly cooperative on this decision. By that I mean that the public did not mind it, not nearly as much as we thought they would. And after talking to Diablo and Caesar about it, I think that I knew why. It was very simple. They loved us. They loved this generation of great knights too much for them to want any of us to be replaced. And it wasn't just mine, Caesar's, or Diablo's speculations. It was a fact. Wherever and whenever we went somewhere, we would be greeted like we were gods. We would be treated like we were the Master King himself. No, even better. Everybody would look upon us in amazement. We confronted Dabir about this one day, and he confirmed our suspicions. Yes, you are indeed correct. Whether it's because of the terrible outcome the previous generation's clash with the Grand Menace, or because of the amazing results of your clash against him, perhaps most likely both of those reasons. But yes, you are by far the most celebrated, most beloved generation of great knights in the history of this kingdom. It might even go beyond that. But the fact stands that the citizens love you. That's why they have no problem with the cancelling of the showdown. If it means that they could see the spectacle of you 5 fighting Gozara once again, saving them once again, they would do anything, Dabir clarified. Now we knew that we were correct. Citizens loved us, more than they loved any other knights before us. And while this meant that for the following seasons we would enjoy the most luxurious and delightful life one can imagine, this also meant another thing. 12 seasons from now, when Ozara strikes again, we would have to face him again. And not only face him, we would have to defeat him again. the five of us. But that was a problem none of us cared to think about. After all, it was a problem that is 12 whole seasons from now. Only someone crazy would burden himself with a problem that would occur in such a long time from now. We should enjoy the following seasons. We deserved it, right? Right? Wrong. Yet another mistake. But this time, it wasn't a mistake I made. It wasn't a mistake Caesar or Diablo or Lucana made. It was a mistake all 5 great knights made. And that mistake was, for the next 10 seasons, all we did was exactly that. We enjoyed life. We enjoyed the delights our victory, our fame has brought us. We feasted on the seemingly unending riches. Lucana and Motheas travelled across the Cree, staying 2 seasons in every part of the kingdom, visiting all that there is to visit. Caesar came back to Hornest. They worshipped him like a god there. And Diablo and I stayed in Battlefield. We simply relaxed. We did not train. We did not fight. We simply existed. We didn't see each other very often, but when we did so, it was very fun. It was very nice. I miss Diablo. I miss Lucana. I miss the old Caesar. 10 seasons flew. All of us fell out of shape. Perhaps if we took our roles as great knights more seriously, perhaps if we kept on training, if we hadn't fallen out of shape like that, the great tragedy that followed could have been avoided. But I doubt it. I think it was all going to happen either way, one way or another. But I'm getting ahead of myself. One cannot fix the past. One day I got a letter from Dabir. It said that the knights had to meet in his palace, urgently. I knew that Diablo had to have gotten this letter too, so I met up with him and together we made our way to the Master King's palace, where we would meet with the other knights for the first time in 10 seasons. When Diablo and I arrived, the others were already there. We greeted everyone and we all talked for a few minutes, catching up with each other. This is when I learned that out of all of us, Caesar was the only one who was still somewhat in shape. He spent most of his time doing all that he could to rebuild the kingdom of Hornest from the ground up. But most of his efforts were to no avail. The little free time that he had was spent letting his frustrations out by puncturing things. Thus, they were basically small training sessions. But still, even he was nowhere near his prime. That went quadruple for the rest of us. And soon we would realize the grave mistake that we made. When Master King entered the room, we all bowed before him. He looked pale. He looked stressed out. And when he saw us, he looked disappointed. He told us how we didn't take our roles as seriously as he had hoped for, and that perhaps we were allowed too much freedom. He said that it has made us lazy, unworthy. I thought that this would make some of us angry, but no. I saw it in everyone's eyes. We all knew that Dabir was completely right. We all knew that we messed up. You all know that Ozara will strike again very soon, and yet you still let yourselves loose. But alas, this is not the primary reason I had called upon your arrival here. Ozara is not the biggest threat to us at this moment. Dabir strictly exclaimed. This was a shock to us. What do you mean? Diablo asked what we all wanted to know. We can tell you that. Motheas stepped forward, holding Lucana. The bear nodded and let Motheas explain the situation. As you all know, Lucana and I were traveling across Castania during the past 10 seasons, and during one of our flights around the holy tree we saw something happening near the very bottom of the tree. The root prison. Motheas paused for a few moments. As soon as he mentioned the prison, we all saw where this was going. Someone escaped, Caesar concluded. The root prison, the place where all of the worst criminals of Castania were held in to rot away into the underground darkness. Correct, but not just anyone. Lizardo. The beast that was captured a long time ago by the spider folks. The beast whose only purpose was the food it provided. But the ages of torture were enough for it, I guess. The rage it had to have built up over time, it used it to break free. I just happened to fly above it when it did so. And this would not present a threat if not for what the beast had done next. It climbed the tree. It climbed the tree and entered Castania through one of the tunnels. This happened 2 days ago. It could be anywhere in the kingdom by now, Lucana said. No, not anywhere. Caesar was thinking out loud. After a few moments he added, I know where he is. We all looked at him, doubtful. Explain yourself, Caesar the Cunning, the bear requested. Think about it, everybody. If you were in Lizardo's place, tortured for ages, being used season after season after season, all because the spiders captured you, where would you go first thing when you finally broke free? What would you use that rage for? Caesar's words were convincing. I see. The web pit. The bear seemed to agree with Caesar. The bear sat in his throne and for the next 10 minutes or so he just sat there, in silence. None dared to speak, especially now when we were the least deserving of our titles than we have ever been. All right, he finally spoke. Hear me, my great knights. For the past 10 seasons you have enjoyed your fame. You have feasted in the glory without much concern for the future. But now the time has come to once again prove that you are, in fact, still worthy of carrying the title of Great Knights. Consider this as a sort of an exam, if you will. Hear me, Great Knights. Go to the web pit and defeat Lizardo, the beast. Defeat him and prove to me that you are still worthy. The bear's top legs widened as he loudly declared our mission. We stood there proudly, determined to prove our worth. And so we went to the place where it started tumbling down. Lucana, Motheas, Diablo, Caesar and I all went to the web pit. The entrance to the web pit was disgusting and terrifying. The blood and guts of a dozen fallen spiders were spread all across the entrance tunnel. The beast has terrorized the unsuspecting guards as soon as it had entered the city. Oh, Lord, Lucana whispered. Diablo vomited. I'm sorry, he said. The sight, it makes me sick. We continued following Lizardo's trail until we made it to the center of the city. Lizardo was there. And around him were the corpses of the web pit's citizens. Stop right there, beast! Caesar screamed as he dashed to attack Lizardo directly. He managed to sting Lizardo by his tail, injecting his venom into the beast's body. Caesar, watch out! I yelled, but it was too late. Lizardo swung his tail and Caesar, whose sting was still inside the tail, was pinned to the floor. Caesar stung it. We just have to distract it until the venom hits, Motheas ordered, but the beast was aware of Caesar's poison. It had fought spiders before, Of course it was aware of the danger us bugs can bring with our stings and our bites. And in one simple move, the beast got rid of its own tail. And with the tail, it got rid of Caesar's venom as well. "Damn it!" Caesar yelled as he threw the now severed tail from his body. I had him, yet he still got away. I don't have any more venom." Lizardo was pissed. It ran towards us, aiming to end us all, its sharp teeth, colored with the blood of fallen spiders, its sharp fangs ready to tear us apart. Motheas grabbed Lucana, carrying her out of the danger. Diablo stood in front of me, ready to protect me. "Diablo, don't!" I yelled at him, but he didn't listen. "Did you forget then?" he asked with a smile on his face, as the beast shot its fangs on him, pinning him down to the ground. The beast tried to bite him over and over again, but they were futile attempts. Diablo looked at me. He asked again, "Did you forget that I am an ironclad beetle? I am invincible." The beast quickly realized that it had no chance of devouring Diablo, so it let him go, moving on to its next target. "Lucana, quickly, your blade!" Motheas let Lucana fall onto Lizardo's back. "Gotcha," she said as she pulled out her blade. She stabbed the beast, and it shrieked in pain, but instead of stopping, it started running faster. It was running towards me. "Damn," I say as I prepare to take the hit. "No!" Caesar pushed me away, barely managing to avoid Lizardo, but the beast turned around. Lucana stabbed him again and again, but it seemed to have lost any and all effect that it might have had. The beast jumped, throwing Lucana off of itself. She fell to the ground, hitting her head on the floor, losing consciousness. "Lucana!" Motheas screamed, flying towards the unconscious Lucana. "Then," Caesar, who was standing next to me, said in a very worried and angry tone, "We're going to lose at this rate, then." He turned towards me. His eyes were filled with fear and anger. He was shaking. "Why, then? Why can't we defeat this thing? Why are we so weak?" Lizardo hit Caesar with one of its legs. It sent Caesar flying all the way to the other side of the city. "Caesar, no!" I yelled, which was a mistake, as it had dragged Lizardo's attention to me. He hit me, too, and I flew to where Caesar was, in front of a door to one of the few buildings that were scattered across the city. And I landed on top of Caesar. The momentum sent the two of us right through the locked door. "Caesar, ah!" I tried getting up, but immense pain struck me when I did so. Lizardo's hit was too powerful. I was hurt. I looked around, but I couldn't find Caesar. Caesar, are you all right?" I kept looking around, but I still couldn't see him. Then I heard a voice, a female voice. "Hey there, you handsome wasp warrior." The voice clearly wasn't speaking to me, but then I look upwards, the direction from which the calming voice was coming from, and I was right. Caesar was there, and in front of him was a small dark room, with small locked doors that had a tiny hole on them from which you could see through. The voice was coming from the dark room. I still couldn't get up, nor could I move any closer, so I couldn't see who or what was in that room. But Caesar could. In fact, he seemed to have handled Lizardo's attack much better than I did. He could stand up. Barely, but he could still stand, unlike me. "Come closer, dear." The voice kept on calling Caesar, and he obliged. "You must be one of those knights. I see no other reason for a wasp to be welcome in this city. Still, there has to be a reason you came all the way here." "Who are you and why are you locked here?" Caesar strictly demanded answers. "Oh, Child, I am nobody, a lone, tortured soul that has no reason to exist. Still, I am still alive for some reason. Tell me, why is it that you are here? The voice was sad. There is a beast, Lizardo, terrorizing the city. It killed dozens of innocents, Caesar explained. I wanted to tell him that we had no time for any of this, but the truth is, neither him nor I were in shape to continue fighting. And talking with whoever was locked in that room killed some time at least. Oh, I see. But you are mistaken, dear knight. As for, you see, those you call innocent are very much not. My husband would probably say that. They deserve whichever fate Lizardo brings upon them, were he still alive, that is. But I am different, even after everything they did, everything they've done to my family, everything they've done to me. What are you talking about? You didn't answer any of my questions, lady. Caesar was getting impatient. Oh, I apologize. After some silence, the voice added, How about I tell you face to face? And not only that, I will even help you. One bite of mine and Lizardo will fall asleep forever. Caesar was thinking for a few moments, and so was I. Just who was this lady? What did she want, besides us freeing her, of course? So many questions. Please. The voice that had been calm so far started shaking. It sounded like whoever was speaking was also crying. Hearing this word, this one single word, was enough for Caesar. He looked at me for a second. I could read exactly what he was thinking. You told me I was a different bug than my father, right? You told me to listen to my heart, my soul. Well, both of them are telling me one thing, one and the same. Free her. Whoever was behind this door, free her. And so Caesar broke the door open. But before the lady got out of the room, a familiar voice spoke. You did not! Caesar and I both turned around to see a spider facing us. It was Netto, the spitting spider that faced Caesar in the tournament. You did not just free her! She is a sinner! Lizardo caught Netto with his mouth, and in a split second the beast bit off half of the spider. Netto was dead. And a few seconds after Netto died, so did Lizardo. Because from the room that Caesar opened, another spider came rushing towards the beast. The spider bit Lizardo on one of its legs, and in just a few seconds, the beast fell down, dead. Purple blood spilled from its mouth. My eyes widened as I recognized the venom used to take the beast. The legends told of a type of venom more powerful than even those of assassin wasps. A venom that would turn the blood to a dark purple color. The so-called Black Widow venom. You, I say, shocked. Thank you, dear wasp. As you see, I kept one part of my promise. Now I will keep the other. I shall answer your questions. Let's start off with an introduction. The spider looked at Caesar, then at me. She wanted us to start. I'm Caesar. Caesar the Cunning. This is my friend Dan. We are both great knights. I see. So I was right. Hello, Caesar. Hello, Dan. My name is Webonetta.